Greetings everybody, and welcome to another day in the landscape. Yes, I really am here. Hello. So today I'm at Bleetarn in the Lake District National Park. Conditions could be better if I'm being perfectly honest, but you know, I'm out here for a bit of personal photography and out to enjoy myself. And I have been enjoying myself, and I've really been enjoying using my new purchase, my Sigma fpL. And I thought, you know what, I probably ought to sit down. Why did I decide to go and buy this camera? Why did I decide that this is the camera for me? So that's what this video is going to be about. Two disclaimers very quickly. One, everything I'm saying to you is my own opinion. I've bought this with my own money, and Sigma? Who's Pigma? Sigma have not paid me to say anything about their kit, their lenses, the cameras, whatever. Additionally, for those people who follow this channel because of my experiences with my Olympus kit, please do not despair. My Olympus kit is going nowhere. There will be videos throughout the year that feature the use of my existing Olympus setup. So do not despair. Right. The sunlight's looking lovely over there, so let's set up a frame so I can have a quick chat with you about the decision that I chose to make. Right, so whilst we're having a little bit of a frame up, let's just remind ourselves of where we started. So some months ago, I went to a photography show to try and exercise a full frame itch. Did full frame or the full frame format or full frame cameras give me anything extra than what my Olympus kit gave me? And I know basically the honest answer to that is probably no, but it was my itch to scratch. So before anybody starts shouting at the screen, please just bear that in mind. Those of you that watched the video of that, you will doubtless remember that I looked at the sunlight's gone. I looked at the Canon R5, the Sony A7R4. I did have a quick look at a GFX 50 and a GFX 100. I wasn't intending to look at this, but you know, the stand looked quite attractive, so I went and had a look just to investigate. I also wanted to play with the Panasonic, but Panasonic weren't there. The R5, lovely camera, too expensive. For me anyway, too expensive, way outside my budget, especially when you consider I want to purchase some lenses to go with it. GFX 50, GFX 100, really bulky, really large, lenses way too expensive, and not a huge range of lenses either, in my humble opinion. The Sony, I had a grip issue that I went back to the Sony stand several times to see whether it was just me being silly, but no, it wasn't. So this camera, as soon as I picked it up, it felt right in my hand, which was the primary reason for me considering it further. But why did I choose to really spend my money on it? What made me think, do you know what, this is worth having an experiment with? So let's deal with some aesthetics first. Weight. And I have written this down because this is a very lightweight camera. So this camera, plus the lens, plus the EVF, is 1,227 grams. I actually weighed it myself. I know that's correct. My OMD with the 12-100 lens is 1,279, as weighed by me. Now, that's not a million miles away from each other. In fact, the Olympus is slightly heavier, although I do accept this is only a 28-70 lens, whereas the Olympus lens is effectively giving me a 24-200. Get that, but it's relatively small form factor, relatively lightweight. This combination I found is absolutely superb. I'm really, really enjoying using it. Yes, I've not got the focal range, but as a form factor, as you know, a piece of kit that I can use immediately as soon as I picked it up, I thought, you know, this is a factor that I can work with. Second one, you noticed I've got my glasses on because I'm trying to look at my notes. This comes with a modular EVF. An EVF for me is crucial. because when I use my camera, I don't want to have to wear my glasses. Using a back screen, I have to use my glasses because otherwise I can't see it. I'm looking at the screen on the back of my Osmo here now, and it's all blurry. I can just about see my outline. I can just about see the camera, but that's it. It's all a little bit of a blur. With an EVF, I can focus the EVF to suit my eyes, which means I can use the camera without having to put my glasses on. And you can see I've got various layers on because it's quite chilly today. There's nothing worse than layering up and having your glasses sort of tucked away in here somewhere, and then having to sort of undo that in order to get them out in order to use your camera, in my opinion, of course. I did a video about the Case K9 filter system, and again, that is a filter system that I can use without having to take my glasses off because it's large enough and chunky enough and still light enough in order for me to do that. So lightweight body, lightweight lens and an EVF were certainly the first couple of things that made me think, okay, is this an option worth considering? One other thing worth mentioning about the EVF is that it tilts up and down, which is really, really convenient, especially when you're working with the camera low down. You can sort of flip it up and still look down into it. Yes, it doesn't go left and right, but I have to admit in practice, that's not been an issue for me. The menu system that's in this camera is very straightforward, very simple, but it's functions and features that I use out in the landscape. So, you know, I've got to say, there were other cameras systems that I looked at that were very, very complicated, whereas this one, I just took to it straight away. And if you remember, in my show video, I wanted to work out how to format the memory card and also how to change the date and time, which it's in here somewhere. There it is, date and time. And it's all under a function called system. This was the fastest camera that I found that enabled me to find those functions very, very quickly. And as I say, it's using function or has functions and features that I use out in the landscape, nothing else, which is perfect. For me anyway, absolutely perfect. One of the other features of this camera, certainly the camera body anyway, is the fact that it's fully weather sealed, which as a landscaper is absolutely crucial. Now in truth, a lot of these Sigma lenses are not claimed to be weather sealed, certainly in the contemporary range. I know that there are some. But I know from experience in my Formula One days, and I used to shoot motorsport, I used Sigma lenses. I had a 50 to 500. I used it in all weathers, rain, snow, ice, you name it, and it never missed a beat. You'll also know from my previous videos that I am careful with my kit. I don't tend to subject it to extremes. So I was confident that this combination of body and careful choice and careful use of lens would give me a system that I could use out in the landscape, even when the weather maybe started to close in and become a little bit inclement. In fairness to the Sigma ambassador, one of the things that he told me was that I needed to be really deliberate with the camera, which suits me anyway because I'm not a gun and run type landscape photographer. I do think hard about my compositions, I think hard about the technicalities, and the way in which this system is laid out forces you to do that. It's straightforward and it's simple, but you do have to use it deliberately in order to get the best out of it. And it is a fact that the more I picked up with it and played with it, the more comfortable I became with it and the more confident that I could take it out in the landscape and use it to do the things that I wanted to do. So let's talk quickly about lenses for a moment. I just need to refer back to my notes. So at the time that I purchased this camera, which is in September, there were or are 27 L mount lenses. This is an L mount camera from Sigma, and there's another 12 Sigma EF, Canon EF fit lenses that Sigma claim are compatible with this camera using an MC-21 adapter. Now, in truth, every single Canon EF lens that I've used with this camera has actually worked with it, but just based on 27 native L-mount lenses and another 12 that I could use with an adapter, I was pretty confident I would find a selection of lenses that would suit my style of landscape photography. So that gave me some confidence in the purchase, that I was actually going to have a lens that I could use. So one of the functions that really interested me as a landscaper that this camera offers is its ISO ratings. So if I just go quick select, you just look at this box up here. As I turn the dial, that number decreases as low as ISO 6. And yes, you heard me rightly, ISO 6. So just think about that for a minute. And I know it's a software ISO. There we go, my battery's running flat. I know it's a software ISO, but it's still an option that allows me to do a long exposure without having to put grads across the front. So no problems with color shift or anything like that. I can actually do a long exposure using the camera and the functions in the camera without having to reach into my bag. And I've got to admit, I was really, really intrigued about how ISO 6 would actually come out. Intrigued to the point of actually trying it at the show, which was next to useless because it wasn't on a tripod and so on and so forth. But yeah, ISO 6, as a landscaper who loves doing long exposures, what a fantastic function to actually have at your disposal when you need it. So bearing in mind everything that I've just said, clearly I was tempted, and I did ask Sigma, was there anything that they were prepared to do to sweeten a potential purchase? And they did. They threw in an extra battery and also a palm grip. I wouldn't say that tipped me over the edge, but it was certainly something that sweetened the whole purchase. And clearly, of course, the next thing to do was to buy a camera, buy a lens, and then get out into the landscape and play with it. And bear in mind for a moment, go back to the video where I talked about why I bought into the Olympus system. I did exactly the same thing. I bought an Olympus camera and a lens, and then I went out into the landscape. I'm doing exactly the same thing here. If I decide after a period of time that this is the wrong choice, having actually gone out and tried it, then I'll do something about it. I have to say right now, I'm really enjoying using it, but I need to probably print a bit more using it, and I probably need to try a lot more different situations, the sorts of situations that I get into using it. But so far, it's been a good experience, and that is clearly a subject for another video. Just bear in mind everything that I've said to you about this camera and why is personal to me. Everybody will have different wants and preferences from the camera systems that they buy into, but hopefully by sharing why I chose to go in this direction, that will be constructive and useful to whoever's looking at this video. That's it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I shall see you on my next video with this camera. Take good care. Stay safe.